not be able to make a session, they will be recorded. So welcome, my name is Kelly Cottle. This is our first meeting of our CCNP ENCORE class for the summer. We are going to be running this course now through early August, and I appreciate y'all letting me wait till this week to do our first meeting for the class, as this was last week I was at the NICE conference in Texas, which was a good conference. It was also the same week as Cisco Live, which I wish I could have been there too. But I want to go over real quickly again. You hopefully watched the video that I sent out. That was the intro to my other ENCORE class. I've had been teaching ENCORE and ENARSI, basically alternating every semester for the past year and a half, 2 years or so. And one of the things that I do with this course that's different than any of our other instructor courses that you've probably been in is the main focus of where the class is at. Typically, the main focus for our instructor training classes is inside of NetAcad, and you will see there is an ENCORE class in here, but you will notice that inside of this class, the only thing you're really going to see are the chapter exams. And in fact, now that everyone is in here, I can go in and turn those chapter exams on. Those chapter exams are available and will be available for up to 10 attempts. And I don't really use them for a grade as much as just for learning. One of the important things that you will notice is that because there's not much inside of this course, I'll discuss with you in a minute your ability to get CEUs, or actually CEs, continuing education credits, for renewing your certifications by completing this course inside of NetAcad. Well, we have an issue because NetAcad, when you apply for it, they go and look at this class and say, well, all they did were the exams and that's it. Well, I actually send them a listing of all of your NetLabs labs that you do. And so when you actually apply for your continuing education credits, I'll need to know so I can send an email to support and say, actually, these students have done the following, which is nice, and it gets you some credits that are good. Yep, actually I had already turned them on, so that's good. But that's a little different than our normal instructor classes. You'll notice there are no uploads here, none of the normal things you would see inside of our class. Now there is a hands-on skills exam upload, but even that one I don't really use because we use what's inside of the Canvas course. So in here, you'll look a Canvas course, all of our uploads for our labs are in here. All of our, the upload for the final is at the bottom, and so on and so forth. So it's a little different than some of the other classes you may have done with Stanley Community College. The other thing you'll notice too, there are no packet tracers. Now there are packet tracers, and they are really just nothing more than repeating some of the labs that we have, but I don't assign any packet tracer assignments. All labs are NetLabs labs, so they're real labs on real gear, and so that is a little different than maybe what you've seen in the past. The other thing that makes this a little different is when class ends, you will lose access to canvas.stanley.edu. So we need to try to get finished by the end date of the class. You know, I'm very good about giving you extra time, but at the same time, be aware that we'll lose access to this Canvas class, which means if you do need to go past the end date of the course, you'll have to email me the labs instead of putting them into the Canvas class. Not a big issue, but just kind of a warning. Having said that, I had somebody in my ENARSI spring class just finished the class yesterday. All right, so I try to be as lenient as I possibly can be to help you. By that very same token, please, if you haven't already done it, do this first attendance quiz. This was added in by our LMS folks, and it is a quiz for more about where you're going to be in terms of, are you local, are you remote? And so that quiz, if you haven't done that first attendance quiz, please do. Everyone in this group has done their introductory form assignment. So thank you very much for doing that. I was able to mark you as enrolled. I've added something that all of you should see, this weekly attendance. On Wednesday, if you can, please go in each Wednesday and just drop in an item saying what you did this week. Okay. So like Jack and Jim and David have already put some things in here they've done. Excellent. That's all I need. That way I can look at when you did this and I can literally go over to my role and I can give you a check mark and mark you as being present today. So that's a new item that we have to do each week. And they added that to us, I believe it was spring semester. Spring semester, they added that as a requirement for us. So we have to actually go in and say, hey, you know, that you are here and attending class and working forward. If you do not contact me or do any work for 2 weeks, I am required by our policies to drop you. Now, that is if you do not contact me. If you are in the process of, let's say you're on vacation, you have a family sickness, something happens, folks, contact me and I will not drop you from the class. Now, having said that, you do need to show some movement towards doing work in the class. But that is a new item I just added earlier this week, and that is that weekly attendance. If you can every time we meet, and if for some reason we don't meet on a Wednesday, if you'll still log in and do that weekly attendance, drop a comment in, I would really appreciate it. That makes my life easier and keeps the folks down in student development from hollering at me. All right. So let's go to the syllabus. I am Kelly Caudle. I am the lead instructor at our instructor training center at Stanley Community College. I'm also the main contact at our Academy Support Center. So you probably have interacted with me in some way, form, or fashion in one of those two roles. This is our CCNP Enterprise Encore. So it's June to August, and we have officially until the 14th of August to get this class done. The good news about this is you really don't have to buy a book if you don't want to, because we do have the O'Reilly materials available for you, and I'll show you that again here in a few minutes. But we've got a large number of those. If you want to buy the book, feel free to buy the book. You are more than welcome to do so, but you do not have to. We actually have both a video course and the official cert guide book inside of O'Reilly. You do need a computer, you need internet access. I don't think any of that's something that kind of will be surprising to you. Folks, I will tell you this. This course is the course is not that hard, okay? There's a lot of content. I won't lie to you. There's a huge amount of content. The CCNP Encore is about 2 miles wide and still about 8 or 9 inches deep. It's not like, you know, CCISP is 2 miles wide and a ½ inch deep. This exam was the hardest certification exam I've ever taken. And I have passed the CCIE written. And by the way, this is technically the CCIE written exam now. You have to pass this before you can go and sit for the CCIE. It's not that the technical material is that hard. It's just there's so many different areas that this covers. This is the beginning course for any pathway in the CCNP now. So whether you're doing route switch, which we go with ENARSI and RC, or if you go to a security area or a data center area or whatever, this is the first of all the CCNP. So there's a very broad amount of topics covered, and they're covered fairly in depth. I studied for almost a year for this test, ended up taking it at Cisco Live and did pass it. That was 2 years ago, but it was a tough exam. Okay. Have anybody in here actually taken Encore yet in the past? Or are you just taking this as a review? I know some of you probably had your CCNP in the past when it was 3 test, when it was routing, switching, and troubleshooting. And then years and years ago, it was 4 tests. I can't remember that now. It's like routing, switching, troubleshooting, and there was one more I can't remember way back in the day when it was 4 exams.
Dixie, BCS, BCM, BCSMN.
Yep, the switching one.
Remote access and troubleshooting.
That's it. That was the three of
Yeah.
the routing, switching, remote access, and troubleshooting. Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
I took the Encore about 2 years ago as well.
okay. And do you agree with me? It was a tough exam.
Yeah, I agree, but I wasn't very the exam I took wasn't representative of what I expected because, I came from in the past, it was very, very route switch oriented,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Encore is so spread out. I had more automation and wireless questions, I feel like, than anything else.
I had a ton of wireless. I mean, just a
Yeah.
ton of wireless. I agree with you on that. I thought it had strayed very far from the route switch area. I agree with you on that. And that to me is why it was so hard, because again, one, I don't work with wireless daily, and I don't work with the wireless LAN controllers, and I don't really work in that environment much at all. But two, again, it was to a fairly in-depth amount, and it was in so many different topics. Um, so yeah, I agree with you. That was my experience also when I took it 2 years ago. I did have some instructors just take it in the spring, and the ones that have taken it have passed. Um, they are still saying it's fairly deep and also covers a broad range of topics. So obviously we can't get much more in detail than that, but
Well, it's also added labs.
it has. Yes, it
Yeah.
has, and it's
So,
they have added to it, so it's got there was a revision to it earlier this year. It was not a huge revision, but it was they did do a revision on it. So agreed. Now this is an instructor trainer class, everyone. So we got a little bit different um, framework for what you need to get completed. Number one, as long as you do 25 chapter labs, there are more than 25 chapter labs. I think there's in the range of 38 labs in this entire class. You don't have to do every one of them. Obviously, I feel like you will do better to pass the exam if you do every one of them. But as far as I'm concerned, for you passing this class, you need to pick 25 of them that you think are the areas that you need to do the labs on, and do those 25. For instance, some of these early labs you probably could have skipped because you've noticed they're things you already know. You might want to do the MST lab because that lab is pretty important. The multiple spanning tree. So we're gonna actually lecture on it next week, but that one is pretty important. But for me, pick 25 labs, your choice, do them, and we'll talk about how you turn those in here in a second. The final exam score of a 75 or higher is what I require. And then the final skills assessment, which, by the way, the final skills assessment is inside of our NetLab class. And NetLab class is KFC CCNP ENCORE Summer 24. That's my initials. It keeps all my classes together. And this is the skills assessment that will be required at the end of the course. So the ENCORE V8 skills assessment. The other labs are all right here. Okay, so you can see all the different labs that we have. And you'll notice we do have labs covering the automation portions. So these
Kelly,
are, yes, Jim.
you stopped sharing your screen. We're seeing your
Oh, did I?
video. Yep.
I don't know what did that happen. Oh wow. Okay, hold on. It was showing me I was sharing my screen. Can you see the labs now?
Yes.
Okay, so let me go back. So inside of our class, are y'all seeing the list of classes?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, so this bottom one here, this CCNP ENCORE V8 SA1 PMAP, that is the skills assessment that's required for the class. And then if you click on the top item, you'll see all of the other labs that are available that we have. So for instance, you probably could have skipped lab one. You might could have skipped VTP depending on how familiar you are with VTP. Obviously, implementing Ether channel, you probably could skip that one. Tuning Ether channel you might want to do, but some of this is some review. And down at the bottom, you'll notice we do have the labs that These are actually straight out of DevNet. Some of them are the exact same lab that you would find in the DevNet associate class. And they are part of the automation portions for. So there are 35 different labs that are available inside of the ENCORE lab set. And you are required to complete 25 of those, and then that skills exam final. Okay. Any questions on the requirements? I guess I need to look in chat too. If you don't want to come off mute, you can also drop in chat, folks. I have put in a listing of when things are due. Please note, I give you due dates because if you don't have due dates, you're like me, you won't get it done. You got to have some kind of due date so you kind of have a pacing to go on. Please be aware, if you don't hit the exact due dates, I'm not going to take off 10,000 points, or I'm not even going to take off a point. It will make it easier for me if y'all stay kind of in sequence. But if you want to work ahead, please do. It's perfectly fine to work ahead. I'd just like for you to try to stay, not too far behind these due dates, so that when I go through and grade, I can grade it in 1 or 2 passes, and not have to do 6, 7, 8 passes in order to do the grading. All right. So this is kind of a basic outline for us. I tried to give you a catch-up week during the week of the 4th in case any of you are on vacation. I do fully know you will be on vacation sometime during the summer, as I will be, to be quite honest. I mean, I'm going on vacation one of the weeks in July. It will be basically the last week in July, and then the last week this class ends. I'll be at hopefully, cross my fingers, I was turning in paperwork today. I'll be at Idaho National Labs participating in a red blue industrial control system hands-on lab. So there's going to be times when we're all going to be missing class. So I understand that, but try to stay as caught up as you can. Okay. Some of these weeks don't have labs because the chapters don't have labs. So it lets you have a time to catch up on labs, but you do need to read and do the chapter exams for that particular section. Okay. Our weekly meetings are on Wednesday. So it'll be Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern time. If you cannot meet, you are required to watch the Zoom recording. So please at least watch the first 15 minutes. That way, if any questions come up and they're answered, you'll see those. Or if I have an announcement I need to give the class. If you feel confident in the material I cover, I'm not watching YouTube to see if you've watched every minute. Okay. But this is the primary way, this and email is the primary way I will get information out to the class. Okay. So syllabus, any questions on the syllabus? Any questions on the requirements? The only other requirement that I don't have here is that weekly attendance discussion that we need to do, which I showed you on the very first page of the class. So any questions on the syllabus?
Kelly, I had a question. The
Shoot.
lecture schedule is the read. What's the lecture? How does the lecture schedule work out?
Roughly, I try to follow the chapters that are for that week. I can't lecture on every single chapter for the weeks most of the time. I usually try to pick the chapter in the week that I think is the most important. For instance, I'm not going to lecture today on MST, but next week, the first thing I'll do is spend a good part of the time lecturing on multiple spanning tree. And then we'll move into one of the OSPF chapters. So that's my normal attempt to do. I pick one or two of those modules that we're covering in that 2-week span or that week span, and I lecture off of those.
Okay, thank you.
And I can also, if you have a particular section you want me to lecture on, email me, and I can always do that too. So I'm open to suggestions. So if there's something you really need me or want me to cover, I'll do my best to cover it. I'll be honest, some of you probably have. I know, Chris, you've worked in the industry, and I know, Jim, you've done it too. I think David has. All of you had. If I call it the BS meter, if I say something stupid, call me out on it. If I say something wrong, call me out on it. This is high level material and I screw it up on occasion. Let's be honest. So if I say something incorrect, don't be afraid to say, hey, Kelly, that's not really right. This is how it works, especially real world examples, because unfortunately, I got 28 years of working. In fact, I just hit 28 years this month, woohoo, with the state. Not that I was checking my retirement account or anything or looking at retirement. You know, I was not definitely doing that today. But having not worked in the industry in a while, those of you who have, call me out. I want us to learn from each other. I always tell people, if you ever get in a classroom and an instructor stands in front of you, an IT instructor, and says they know everything, get up and walk out. Get up and walk out, because that instructor is one of the most dangerous people in IT. You can never know everything. So I'm always learning from my students. And so please do call out if I say something dumb or incorrect, call me out, because I can definitely do it with the best of them. All right. So real quickly, as far as uploading items, obviously when you complete a lab, I do have for you in this zip file right here, every one of the labs that are in PDF format here. Okay, so when you preview this lab, you'll see it's in a PDF format. I have gone through in our class and created a zip file that is full of all of the lab files in Word format. So you can fill out, if there is a series of questions in the document, you can answer those questions, and they're available. So that's available for you. You don't have to do them yourself. I also went through for everyone, and on many of these labs, you'll notice there's a set of initial configs that you drop in, okay, to start the lab. Well, it's a pain to try to copy and paste these. So I have actually gone through and created for you a zip file with all of the, hold on a second, it's on my other page. Okay, can you see my folder here? Let me know you can see it.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so every one of the labs, when there is a file that needs to be pasted in, I have actually put it into a text file for you already. So, and that's for every single lab in the class. So, you know, if you're getting ready to do this lab here and you need A1, you just grab it, Control A, Control V. Okay, so Control A, Control C, Control V, or paste to host. So you can do that. So don't go in here. So let's say we're doing MST 412. You will notice there's only 3 pods. Unfortunately, there's only 6 of you, but we only do have 3 pods. So one of the things I do tell people also is I typically, with these pods, especially with the switch pods, I usually do a delete VLAN.dat and write erase, and then reload them even when they first come up, just because I've had some problems with VLAN surviving reboots on some of the CCNP labs. But with these files that I have here for you, you do not have to go in and try to copy them off of the Word document. You've got them already in the class as a zip file that you can dump onto your desktop. Okay. Have any of you been using those? Did you notice it and start using it, or did you not see it?
Yeah, I really like them. I appreciate you doing that. It makes getting the lab started so much quicker. So
Yeah, it
I
is.
like
It's a whole lot easier. I've done that with this class and an RC class, just to make
Yeah.
life easier for us as we move forward. Now,
Yeah.
some of the RC I can't do as much because they're troubleshooting labs, and in that class you actually have to load a file from Flash into the running config, do your lab, troubleshoot it, and then it's a little different. These you don't have to do that. These you can just take these initial configs and then dump them into the device. So, okay. But yeah, those are available. Don't forget those are there, because those will help you a great deal. I do have for you also up here a couple things. One, the 340 version 1.1 learning objectives and a matrix. So if you want to you know, open up a spreadsheet and sit down and you know, kind of see what's here and where you can find the information, it's a matrix for you to look at it and do that. So I tried to make it easy for you to study for the exam. Okay. Last but not least, so here's our class here. So we see everything, everybody's booting. Obviously the system isn't ignoring me because it's controlling these. But when they get finished, I'll show you how the easy way. Basically, you can go in here, you can do copy or paste the terminal. And so you take your text file that you have and you select it, and then you dump it in here. And then make sure you're in config, global config mode, and it'll go right in, right? I think most of you at this point are able to do that. I want to talk about this real quick. Some of you may not be aware of this. As part of a deal with Cisco Learning and the Cisco Academy, we can now get certification renewal credits for taking classes in the Cisco Networking Academy. Obviously, it's been something that's been going on since March 22 or in that ballpark. And here's how it works. Basically, if you have an associate degree or an associate certification, you need 30 credits to renew that. Specialist 40, professional 80, CCIE is 120 every 3 years. You can always take an exam to renew your certifications, or you can earn credits like this. You will notice, even they know that the Enterprise Core Networking, the ENCORE, is a very difficult class because they give you, if you complete it successfully, 64 continuing education credits. And that will renew, any of your specialist or lower certifications, okay? So it's neat to get those. You can very easily, by passing ENCORE, very easily renew your CCNA, okay? And if you do both of these and take both classes, if you were already a CCNP, that would actually renew your CCNP. You must ask for credit within 90 days of the course completion. So when we get done at the end of this class and you ask for that, this is where, when you do it, you need to then send me the support or help desk request that you put in, okay, which you put it in right here. And as soon as you put this in, the date you put it in, you tell me, and then I'll go and I open a support ticket and say, I'm gonna use David as an example. David Fowler was a student in my CCNP ENCORE class. I give them the name. It appears that he only did the chapter exams, but however, he actually did the following, and I list exactly 19 labs for 20 hours or whatever, and send that to them, and then they will approve your CE submission. If I don't do that, you will be denied. They will say, well, we can't see that you did any actual work. But as soon as you do this and then let me know, I can tell them, hey, no, in fact, David did do a lot of work because you've done those 25 labs plus the skills assessment. And then they see you did the exams inside of there. And that will give you continuing education credits. Now, this is above and beyond the 80 hours of work that you will get. You'll get CEUs from Stanley Community College. So if you need to get CEUs for your college, this class actually earns you 8 CEUs from Stanley Community College's continuing education. It will also earn you up to 64 credits for Cisco CE continuing education. Questions about this? Anybody use these credits before in the past? I've had multiple students in my ENCORE and NRC class apply for CE credits, and they have been awarded. So it's a good way to renew your CCNA or lower level certs or higher level certs if you get enough of them. Okay. All right. So I wanted you to be aware of that. You can always download this and read it over and look at it again. But when you're ready, make sure when you do submit it, you email me so I can then send support a ticket and say, hey, look out for an application from David for this. And I give them my 2 cents worth. And knock on wood, so far we've had no issues with students being approved, as long as they have that additional email from me. I've had multiple students who have been turned down until I send that letter. Okay, they forgot, they actually submitted it, forgot to tell me, they got turned down. I then submitted a letter. They opened the case back up and they permitted it. All right. So just to be aware of that, that is something that's available. Last but not least, I do want to talk to you about the O'Reilly database. All right. So hopefully you've already accessed the O'Reilly database. If not, it is available at stanley.edu. Go into Student Resources Library. You click on in the A to Z database list, and then click on O'Reilly, O for O'Reilly, Safari Books. I used to pay personally $50 a month to have access to the O'Reilly database. We now have a campus license for our IT group to use this database. It is one of the most used databases on our campus. You'll notice we are not listed inside of the institutions. Okay, we're not big enough to be listed inside of here. There are a bunch in here that you can see. So we click institution not listed, and then we put in our academic email, which would be your Stanley Community College email. For you, it's going to be your username at scc.stanley.edu. Click Let's Go, and you will be inside of the O'Reilly database. All right. Now, I've tried and tried and tried and tried to make these playlists public, and for some reason they continue to stay private. So even though I'm saying make them a organizational playlist so anybody can see it, it's almost like anytime I do that, it immediately becomes private again. Either way, if you want to see any of these resources, all you have to do is from the main page up here at the top, type in CCNP ENCORE, and you will get a listing of all of the current items. So here is the book, the entire book, published in 23, and you can click start here. And whenever I reference reading a particular chapter, this is the book I am talking about. Okay, so this is the book, and it is again available completely free to you to use. You do not have to purchase it if you don't want to. Obviously, if you're like me, I like to have a book, so I do typically purchase it myself. But be aware it's available for you, and then you can go in here and you can read the book. So again, part 1 forwarding, and it goes through and every chapter starts with a what do you know test, and then it goes on from there. Okay, so this is the book we will be working off of. And again, like I said, this is a lot of this is review. You know how to do VLANs, you know how to do inter VLAN routing. So they start you out kind of slow, and then we go from there pretty quickly. Okay, so loud VLANs, this is all CCNA 2 stuff. I want you to know you also have available to you other items besides just this book. If you happen to be the type of person that learns better from a video course, there's an on-demand course that you can do here. Okay, it's a 35-hour video course. So if you want to watch a video course, you can do so. So here's 35 hours of instruction. And likewise, there's another Encore class right here by Packet Publishing. If you happen to know them, I met Ronnie Wong at a conference, actually at Cisco Live a couple years ago, and he's one of the people that do this 16-hour CCNP class. And then there is an older, this is the 1.1 course. I mean 1.0 course instead of the 1.1, and these other two up here are the newer courses. So you'll see that they are a little bit different. This is the newest course, but they are both available to you. So you've got tons of items that are available to you to use to study. Also, folks, here's something I want you to realize. It's about worth paying for a class, honestly, just, well, to take the class. But then your email address for Stanley is typically active for up to 2 semesters past the time you finish your last class. What if you want to learn about, give me a topic. Somebody put a topic in chat or come off mute. Give me anything. One thing I got to do is I gotta pass the cloud practitioner as part of a a not a lab, a grant we've got. Python. Oh God, Python. There are so many Python resources. There's an entire course, learn Python step by step. Python second edition, crash course, fundamentals. Here's an on-demand video course, Python. Here's something I like to do. I like to go here and look at publication date and look at early release. And there's actually books that aren't even going to be out, or just now are coming out, or are not coming out until later. And you can actually get an early version of the book. You know, it takes a while for books to be published, but they have the ebook. So here is all types of stuff, books that are coming out in November and December. You know, there's a huge amount in here on artificial intelligence. Obviously, that's what everybody's all hot and bothered by right now. So tons of stuff with that. Okay. Central math for AI, AI engineering for dummies, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's some actual pretty interesting things about generative AI and looking at how creative types can use generative AI to make their jobs easier without copyright infringement and also without just relying on the AI. Notice too, you can go up here and change if you want to look at a course or videos or however you want to do it, you can change it up. But you will have access to this content for the entire semester, plus normally at least another 2 semesters. So even if you're not taking a class with us, don't forget about this. This is a massive, and I mean a massively useful tool for you. I mean, if any certification you want, I mean, you have VMware, VCP. I know VMware is not VMware anymore, but there's a VCP. You got version 7 is the only one they got. There's VCP 8 on-demand course. You know, see if we got anything on Proxmox. Yeah, they got Proxmox. If you happen to be moving away from VMware for some reason, there's some information on Proxmox. Now it's a little older. I would think that sooner than later there will be more Proxmox stuff up here as people work towards it. But it is, you know, just a huge resource for you and your ability to look at things. Okay. I will tell you, if your school is not too big, I was surprised at how cheap this was for our school. It's a lot less than what you think it is. So you may want to actually have your library look into getting it for your school if you don't have it at your school. It is a huge advantage and a huge force multiplier for us when we teach classes, because we're able to say, hey, everybody, you've got all this information that you can use inside of O'Reilly. Okay, so our main course materials are in here in terms of our reading. You will notice this is a very different course than what you've seen inside of Netacad before, because there's no real reading in here, folks. You know, if you go in and look at this, there's just a quiz and there's the lab and the quiz. That's it. There's no reading inside of here. All your reading will be done in the book, the cert guide, or if you want to watch the on-demand course, you can do that. Now, the on-demand course, you're going to have to, I don't give you breakups for that, but you're going to have to go in here and look at the on-demand course, and by looking at the outline, decide the sections that you're going to use, okay? So like this obviously doesn't map directly to the way the class is set up. You would have to do it in a little different. They're doing it based upon the exam breakdown. Okay. The other class, however, I will tell you, the other class maps better to the actual format of the book itself. So it tries to do follow the book versus the other. So this, if you want one that actually follows the way the book is, this is it right here. So you see, talking about spanning tree, talking about here's MST, multiple spanning tree, and all the others. So it's a good course if you want to use that. All right. Questions about the course, about where we're going and what all you've got to do in order to pass the course. Any questions about this weekly attendance that I need everybody to do? And I think I probably got, David just did his, so I'll go do his check. Saron and let's see who else. Anybody else that everybody said, if you haven't done this weekly attendance today, please log into canvas.stanley.edu and do that right now, so I can put you on the the attendance sheet that you were here, you attended class. Which I know is kind of crazy, but it is important that we have that as part of our items now. All right.
I have
Any,
a couple of questions.
all right, go ahead, Tron. What you got?
I noticed that the dates, I guess due dates, and I know you said you weren't stringent about the due dates or too stringent on the due dates, but I noticed that there was a little bit of a difference between what's in Canvas versus your syllabus when you just went over it.
If that is true, then I messed up. So let me try to see.
The way it looks, I'm gonna guess you wanted us to go by what's in the syllabus. I guess that would be.
Yes.
Wait.
If I messed up, I didn't mean to. Let me check. I'll check. I'll go through and check them. But yeah, the syllabus is what should be 2 and 2. Yeah, I'll check these. But yeah, the syllabus is what I want you to go by.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yep. I see the chapter 5s. Yep. I had those, I put those down on 619. Okay.
What are those documents, I think you showed us in Canvas where we could get documents for the labs. For
Yes.
each lab, you'd already downloaded them. Are they different from the ones that you would download from NetLabs or?
No,
same?
they are the NetLabs documents. So, and that's important that you use the NetLabs documents. So I'll open them up here and show them to you. You cannot use the documents from inside of the class. You must use these documents that are marked modified for NetLabs.
Yeah, there's like a student preview in NetLabs, and that's where I was getting my lab documents
and that's
from.
the same document. That's the same exact document. This is just a Word document in case it has questions. And also, this is the document I want you to upload.
Okay, that's what that was my next question because.
Yeah. And if you upload a PDF, that's fine if there's no questions in it. But if it does have questions, I want you to use the Word document so you can put unless you have a PDF editor, put your answers to the questions. Okay.
Gotcha.
But these are the exact same document that's the PDF in the lab, just converted to a Word doc.
So even if there are no questions in the PDF, go ahead and upload it. Just upload a PDF, upload a file for each lab is what you're saying.
Yes. And that lets me know you've done the lab, and I go check it in NetLabs and look at what you put in. That basically is just to let me know, hey, Kelly, I've done lab 412, go check it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because what it does, you'll notice here on the right-hand side, it tells me that 3 people have done lab 112. So when you upload it into there, it prompts me to go and actually do the grading.
Okay.
Yep. And I'll fix that one error there on and it's fine if you don't turn in the labs on 5 till the 19th, that's fine too. That's not a huge deal there. Okay. But I'll check these other ones, make sure I got it right. So 812 should be the 19th. Yeah, those are wrong. What in the world did I do? Oh no, I know what I'm doing. I'm assigning them that week. They're due by the end of the next week. That's correct. That is correct. Okay. That's see this is the week of the 12th. And then the items that week are due by the day of the next week, which I know that's a little confusing, but that's how I did the labs, and that's how I did it inside of here.
All right. So wait a second. The lab you have highlighted right there, you have 514. So that's the 19th on it. The 19th is the day that it is due or no?
Correct. Yeah, that's actually what it would be. It'd be due on the 19th. Because see, let me do it this way. I'll leave it. I'll leave it the way it is. I'm not going to change it. Well, it'll be due the week that it's there. So basically, we will say that on 6/12 today, we should have had 112 through 612 technically. and done all the chapter exams. So
So
I'll
you're
get those fixed. I screwed up when I transferred the dates over. I screwed it up.
So you're saying that everything that's grouped together there is due one day, and then the next
Next week, those are due, correct?
So the next week, if I'm looking at Canvas, where it says chapter 6 through 7, I'm guessing it might be more chapters than that, though.
No, actually, next week, you will see that I had to group. All right, first off, we've already had a week of class. We've got another week of class coming up. I had to kind of group the first two sections together. I didn't want to have anything due this week officially because we hadn't met yet. But I've grouped these two groups together for these first 2 weeks. So as long as you're through lab 612, as we start into next week, you are fine. Okay.
I see.
And then next week, all right, we will go over, well, first off, we'll go over MST, but we're going to start looking at chapters 8 through 10. And they will be due on the 26th. So basically each week is where we will be at that week, and that material is due the following week.
Okay.
This week was a little weird because we started class last week. We didn't have class. I kind of played with the dates a little bit because I didn't want to have a lot due this week. So that's why I actually ended up with just one, excuse me here, lab 112, 212, 412. Those were the only things I had to do for this week. And then these other ones I was going to give you till next week to get done, because you'll notice we've got chapters 1 through 7 in a single week. That's too much. But we actually had 2 weeks because the class started last Friday or last Wednesday.
Okay.
So it is a little confusing, but basically the due date, the week that the due date says is the week we're working on that material. And it's not due until the next Wednesday.
All right.
So the dates are correct, actually. So when I say 8/1/12, that would be due. We start on it next week, but it's not due to the following Wednesday.
Got it.
Yeah. So that's the dates are correct. They're just a little confusing. I'll fix that next time I do my syllabus. I try not to give 50 labs in a 1 week span. I typically try to keep it between 4 and 6 labs. I can't always do that because there's some that have a lot more labs, but you'll notice that in the syllabus, I do have, okay, Chris, that's no problem. I do have in the syllabus, I tried to give you weeks where there's catch-up labs.
Yeah, so those.
Yeah, so you'll notice the week after a catch-up lab, if you're caught up, you probably need to work ahead because you'll see there's a large number of labs in 15 and 16. But then the next week I gave you another one, a catch-up. So there's time to catch up. It's just there's weeks we're going to have a bunch of labs because that's the way they fall for that particular section. Okay.
Thank you.
I am not super type A about due dates again, so don't freak out about that. It's just a suggestion on how you can do the labs and not get too far behind. And most of these labs, I'll go ahead and tell you, I would, because there's only 3, let me find out. There's only 3 pods. I would, when I do a reservation, I would do my reservation for at least 2 hours. And the reason being, there's a good chance someone may be scheduled right after you. If they are, you can extend your time. Most of these labs you can do in an hour and a half easy. Some of them in an hour. So if you get done early, obviously just end your reservation, do another one. But be aware that I would schedule each one for about 2 hours just to make sure you've got enough time to get them done. Okay. Does anybody need me to show you how to paste the configs in to NetLabs? Or is that pretty easy? Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Okay, I won't do it then, but it's super easy. You just basically Control A, Control C. No, not that. Not Control X. Go in here and make sure in global config, and then you just do a paste to terminal and do Control V, and boom, you're done. So it'll paste in for you, and you're golden. Okay.
It also lets you right click on the terminal window and click paste.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can paste. It's plain text. Either one. So I've had some issues with, depending on operating system, sometimes that won't work. I've seen Macs give trouble with that, but I've also seen it work. So I know for certain that the paste to terminal will work. One little other thing, if you happen to, for some reason, if the PC is a little bit blurry, click on it and do actual size and it will clear it up. Okay. And don't forget, you can also undock these things if for some reason you got multiple monitors and you want to pull them to different parts of your screen. It is possible to undock each individual tab and pull them out. Okay, for some reason you need that. If you close it, it'll go right back in. So
In that particular lab, the MST lab, there was nothing in the document that I saw or remember seeing that we did on PC number 3.
yeah, and there may not be. I think they just wanted that there so the port would be up.
Okay.
Yeah, without that PC connected to the port would not be up, and it would not be seen as for some of the outputs. Basically, that's what they wanted. When you're going to looking at the port priority like this, or port priorities or different priorities, I think that's the only reason they had that PC in there, was just to make that port 023 be up and have an active VLAN. So, yep. Any other questions? Okay, everybody, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'll pull this back over here. I'm going to stop the recording.